As we go through life, we will meet a variety of people and we'll build complicated personal relationships with them. There are various types of relationships, such as friend, work, romantic, and family relationships. It is important to remember that relationships are as individual and different as the people who are a part of them. There are different expectations in every relationship. Sometimes these expectations are made clear by talking about them, but other times they are just unspoken rules that develop as people spend time together. In this series, we're going to talk about different aspects of relationships from different point of view with Dr. Sahar Munfarid, Maria, Adam, and Sanas. Today's question is cheating. What is your definition of cheating? Would you forgive someone who betrayed you? Let's start with Adam. What is your personal definition of cheating?
So the most simplistic answer is physical, right? So if you are physically involved, and that talks, I mean, that could go to a touch, you know, a kiss, in my opinion, would be a good line of where it becomes cheating. But my experience, and I think over the years is when, and if I ever came across it, as a girlfriend would say, cheating is, to me, when you've become emotionally connected with someone. And I'm starting to think that that also may have a play in it.
Mario, what's your opinion?
My opinion of cheating would be physical and emotional. Like if you need to go to someone else to fulfill your needs that your partner should be filling, then that's cheating to me.
Sanas, do you think flirting is cheating?
Anything. I mean, liking another photo on Facebook, if I'm with you, making a comment, complimenting another woman, is all cheating. I mean, I will go crazy.
You will go crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so you said
touching anything.
Touching.
Work, relationship, co-workers.
So if you see your girlfriend, Adam, if you see your girlfriend talking to somebody on social media, liking somebody's picture, you're definitely okay with that.
I don't think I'm okay with it. And I don't even think it could be cheating if she's liking someone else's pictures. But I know I would probably get kind of uncomfortable with the situation.
So it's more like jealousy?
Yeah.
It may be jealousy, but I hope it wouldn't be, you know.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
I mean, I could never say someone's cheating just by liking a photo or commenting on anyone's picture, just because that's what we all do on social media. That's the norm. Like if I see a picture of Adam, I'm gonna like it. Doesn't mean I'm in love with him. It's just like my friend posted a picture. But it just depends on the person that you're, I guess it's the person that you're with, or
It starts with a like, and then it ends up in a conversation, then it's your number, then we're friends, then let's go for coffee. No, let me bring my girlfriend too, and then it just like works its way.
So you're saying it should be controlled from the beginning?
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
should
just nip it in the bud.
nip it in the bud.
Right from the beginning.
Dr. Monfares, what's your opinion? Is there a specific definition for cheating from what you've seen in people?
I think the definition varies from person to person. I think the main thing is, what is your definition with your partner? You have to be on the same page when you define that term. Cheating for some is purely physical. For other people, the moment you start interacting, like she said, it might be emotional connection, it may be a mental connection. So I think the definition will vary from person to person and with relationship to relationship. I think what you have to be cautious about is, where is it considered cheating and what is it insecurities of your partners that's coming into play. Because if an individual is insecure, then everything is going to be perceived as cheating. Now the other individual may not think that's cheating because they may be more comfortable. So I think part of it has to do with your own baggage that you're bringing into the relationship and how you will define that term.
Do you think there's a difference in cheating in a, like for example, you just started a relationship, or when you're in marriage? Let's start with you, Adam.
So I think this is my idea that marriage is when you really solidify things. So you're playing in the major leagues. Like you're now not in playground anymore with the dating or. And I think even a fiance or being engaged is part of that marriage, even that other league. So yes, I think there is a differentiation, because when you're dating someone and you flirt with someone, I think is a lesser, offense than when you're married with someone and you guys have really, really drawn in the sand your boundaries and the fact that you guys are going to be together. So I do think that there is.
I don't agree with that.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
with the marriage thing, because you're making it sound like dating is just so innocent and marriage is like, that's it. But if you look at the divorce rates now with marriage and not working out, and what you have to actually date in your marriage to even keep that going. It's not just like it's a done deal and we're done. That used to be maybe our parents' generation. They just give up. They don't care anymore. They're just together to be together. But now it's not like that. So it's as important when you're with someone before or after. To me, I don't think it makes a difference. I think it's just, you're making marriage too serious, I think. Like, this is it. It may not be it. You might get divorced and then you'll start all over.
I mean, I feel like at a certain age, you don't date just to date anymore. Like, you're dating to find something serious. So why would you get into something and not take it seriously?
But what about people in their 50s who've been married and they get like divorced and they're trying to find another partner in their life? Like, they've been married 20 years and something went wrong.
Yeah.
I think the definition has to be, are you in a monogamous, committed relationship, or are you dating? Because I think people get those things mixed up. There's a range of things that happen. Sometimes people are just simply hanging out with the other individual. There are people who are now dating. There's committed relationships, and then you move forward from there. Yeah. So I think depending on where you're at on the spectrum, people's definition of cheating may vary. If I'm just hanging out with someone, there's less of an obligation for me to be committed to that person. People who are hanging out are more likely to hang out with multiple different people. Yeah. If we're casually dating, then again, they may not have the same definition versus someone who's in a monogamous relationship who is saying, yes, I'm committed to be one-on-one with you. And at that point, I think the definition starts changing for individuals.
The reason I asked that, because I've seen friends of the friends that, for example, they're dating towards the beginning, they go out in the club, they're okay if their date starts dancing with the other girl and all that stuff, or like talk and all that. But as they go on, they establish emotional relationships. The guy set the boundary: no, you cannot dance, you cannot talk, you have to befriend this person, do that, you cannot get touchy. So, Adam, are you okay with your date if that person, your date, or the girl that you just recently started dating, is going to be like dancing with your friends in the club?
Well, I can give a first-hand account of how that unfolded, and it was a terrible experience. And I don't think it's just happened once. Unfortunately, it happens a lot to me. I don't know if it's something about me, or sometimes I'm just not the best date, or
just unlucky, huh?
I'm an unlucky guy in the world. But I met the girl, and it was our first date, and she wasn't into me as much as I was into her. And then she would go off and start dancing with someone else, or kind of flirting with someone else at the bar. And I don't think that I think that that's sort of socially accepted. I don't think that as I'm getting older and as I'm dating more, I'm seeing that it's not that big of a deal for that to happen, because there's no obligation. You're out on a date, and then you just don't feel that it's connecting, so you want to go out and have a great time, and that's how you're doing it. But yeah, would I get jealous? Oh, heck yeah. I mean, and I tell you, those instances, those were World War III at one point, because I'd want to go, I'd say if I could, but then you got to put everything in the grand scheme of things and say it'll be okay and move on from it. So.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I was wondering, is that cheating or is that more of a respect thing?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because as a respect, if I'm bringing and I'm on a date with someone, even if it's not working out, I would think out of respect, you would just end the date, go your separate ways, and then do whatever you want to do afterwards. Some would say it's not really cheating, that's a disrespectful thing to blatantly in front of me go and start flirting or giving out your number to another individual. So for you, would that be jealousy, disrespect, or cheating?
Okay, so I'll go kind of like the animal kingdom theory of mine about everything. So it's kind of like, I think it is cheating. And I think it's human interaction. So you go out and the girl starts doing that, and you kind of, your ears kind of perk up and you start realizing and noticing what's going on more. And you realize that maybe it was a deficiency in your personality, that you need to be more assertive of your territory and what's going on and those things. And so that you don't allow those jealousy, even if that person isn't interested in you. But the fact that you are such a submissive personality to allow that person to feel like they gotten by cheating on you, by the act of, so define, if I now have to define the word cheating, maybe it does include disrespecting someone, right? Because that is inclusive of the cheating, in a sense that if I, and this is the most street word version of it, but if I one up someone, and so in my opinion, I've allowed that. I've contributed to that too, and it is cheating. So
Okay, so one other question, I guess, piggybacking on that, is cheating considered a form of commitment? Because some would say cheating, by definition, would mean that you and I have a committed relationship. We have an understanding. So if there is no commitment, if it's a first date, then would that be considered cheating? Because she's not committed to you.
She committed to the date.
I mean, if you're agreeing to go out on a date with someone, I mean, you could at least be respectful enough to give them your time. They took time out of their day, and you also agreed to go.
Yeah.
So you should at least, give up your 1, 2, 3 hours, and then after that, go ahead, talk to the whole world. But for that moment, your attention should be with that person.
So does that go to
respect
disrespect
kind
versus
of
cheating?
plays a role.
I mean, it's respect.
Now I have this question. So maybe I start with you, Sandra. Do you think culture plays a role in defining cheating for you?
Culture plays. Could you explain?
Like, for example, if you're coming from an Iranian background, but you grew up here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay,
so what I've noticed, my opinion, some of my friends who are culturally, they were born here, they have family here, they have friends here. When they go out as a couple, both of them are talking to different people. They have like friends of the opposite sex. They both they're more okay with that of each other. But and I get very insecure in relationships. I will just say that too. That's a big problem of mine that I've been working on. In an coming from Iranian background, and I think some of my friends who are Persian, I've noticed that is less. Like the two of them stay just together. They don't really talk to a lot of other people outside, like themselves. So there's definitely, I think, a cultural aspect I've noticed is that if of the Iranian culture is more restricted and maybe more controlled. And then in like American or just like my whiter friends, they're just more like easygoing. Like you'll even see one of the guys go out with a friend of his from work, and it's a female, and the girl is okay with that. Like that's not okay with me. But like,
do you think, Maria?
they're like
that
okay.
plays a role?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. When I compare, like if I am to look at my parents, they spend all their time together. Like even, if they told me stories about growing up, it was just them two. It was not like, oh, like my guy friend, my girlfriend. Like, they didn't have we're surrounded by so many people these days. Like we have so many guy friends, so many girlfriends. It just makes it actually really hard it makes it a lot harder to trust people actually, because you don't know the level of relationship I might have with this person, and then my boyfriend's questioning like, oh, they text a little bit too much. Like it must be something more. So it makes it harder to even have a relationship these days, especially one that's like meaningful and lasts.
Okay. Dr. Monfort, do you think culture plays a role, or do you think looks like more like a generational?
I think it can be both. I think generationally, our older generation, especially parents, grandparents, they came from the mentality that once they're committed to the relationship, they won't leave. So they start becoming, even if they get to a point where they're roommates, and they just tolerate it. So they kind of turn the other cheek and will ignore it. I think the newer generations, the younger generations, will, for some, take that step. I think it gets complicated when there's financial intertwining of whether someone forgives cheating or not. I think if there's kids, people will stay in marriages and stuff longer because there are kids involved. But I think that, I guess the bigger question is beyond that is, can you forgive cheating? And is cheating also always a bad thing?
Okay. So Adam, can you forgive cheating? Like,
That was a bag of can of worms that you opened up. Is cheating a bad thing?
Can you forgive it?
Can you forgive?
Oh boy,
He's
that's
like,
the
no.
$1 million question. I really want to say yes. Like I want to say I should be able to, because cheating happens. I mean, whether we want to admit it or not, it happens a lot. In fact, so I read this thing and about how cheating was so. It hasn't changed in terms of the amount of times it's happening in society as a whole, but now because of social media, it's just revealed more and found out more and caused more issue. So that being said, and now people knowing about it, could I forgive it? I don't think I could ever forgive it.
Okay. I see you're shaking your head, Maria.
No, I could never forgive anybody that cheated on me.
What if like it's your loving husband, you have 2 kids together, 10 years for the sake of your...
I couldn't do it solely because even if I try to push myself to forgive someone for cheating on me, in the back of my relationship would be ruined, because in the back of my mind I'm always saying like, oh, he's 5 minutes late, he's cheating. Like everything will be a question, and then I'll probably get more aggravated, more angry all the time, and there's no way. You can say you could forgive it, but you won't. Your brain won't let you forgive it.
You can
forgive
but not forget.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
Yeah, maybe that's, you can't forget it. Like every 5 minutes, you're gonna think he's doing it again. Like, so you just,
it's always in the back of your mind.
Well, the trust is broken.
Yeah, then there's no going back.
There's trust is broken. I think you should forgive, because that's what you really should do. You know, forgive, but it's hard to forget. I agree with you, Maria.
Can it ever make the relationship stronger, though?
I mean,
That's a good question.
That's a good question. I mean, it could if someone does cheat and you see that they're actually making that conscious effort to change, and you know they're more open and with you with sharing, and perhaps, but
Hard.
I just
Do you think again generation plays a role here, because maybe like the older generation, they were more forgiving, they were more okay to let it go than the younger generation?
I don't think it's a generational thing. I think, you know, when I interact with my clients who have a significant other who have cheated and they come for either individual or couples therapy with me, the first question I ask is, can you rebuild trust? If the answer is no, then the relationship is pretty much done. If the answer is either yes or maybe, then we have something to work on, right? The trust has to be the first thing of really knowing if you can rebuild. Does every cheating equal a divorce or a breakup or a bad thing? No, because I think it has to deal with how the cheating occurred, why the cheating occurred. If the relationship was not flourishing, if the relationship was neglected and the interaction between the couple was broken to begin with, then they step out. It may be the catalyst to produce change within the relationship. So it doesn't mean that they don't love their significant other. Sometimes people end up needing that ice bucket kind of on their head to say, we have to do something to change and fix our relationship. So I have had a lot of clients who have been able to work through cheating. It's a very difficult and emotionally draining process, but can they move forward? Absolutely. And I don't think that's determined by age or culture. I think it's just the individual person.
But when you say, when you ask them, can you build trust? How can you build trust? Like, when a glass is broken, it's broken. How can you build trust on top of that? Like,
it has to do with forgiveness and whether they themselves really truly believe if they are invested in this relationship. Again, depending on when the cheating occurs. There are some people who will be in a relationship longer than they should, so then when the cheating happens, they're pretty already checked out, so they really aren't invested in making it work. There's other people who are more committed to it for whatever reason. They may have been a loss of a child, for example, right? So if someone loses a child, the couple may drift apart for a little while. It's not that they're not committed, they just aren't focused on the relationship. And if the cheating happens at that point, they may be able to rebuild because they weren't intentionally neglecting it. So it might just be an awakening of, okay, it's been 2, 3, 4, 10 years, we have to change our behavior to rebuild that relationship. Sometimes people have checked out long before that, and there isn't necessarily a factor of why they checked out. But if they've already checked out, they're not going to be able to answer that question with a yes answer.
I see. Now, one question just came to my head. Bisexuality. For example, Adam, you're dating somebody that your girlfriend has a friend who's bisexual. She's always texting, asking to have a girls' night out and all that stuff, and you know that girl is bisexual. Would you consider that cheating?
Well, the act of hanging out with your bisexual friend alone isn't cheating per se, but
you know that
be the
friend
start.
might have some sort of intentions.
That's a start.
so the question is, would I allow that?
Would you allow it, or even if you allow, would you consider it cheating? What do you think?
If she hangs out with her bisexual friend who's trying to court her or bed her, I have a very manly answer to that.
Better.
I have a very manly answer that I would say, have fun. Let me know if I need where I should pick you up, if I should pick you up at
Or
all.
you could you join? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, but I would tell her
So
to
you're
be
okay.
responsible. I think I pick my partners well enough that I know in those instances they would be okay, and I would let her be in those positions to make those decisions. And if she made that call, then we would have to obviously talk about it and see where reevaluate everything.
What about a girl perspective? Like, I don't know if you're dating a guy who's hanging out with
Okay. Who I think could be homosexual
Yeah.
or bisexual. Yeah, I would definitely let him know that I don't want him to do that. It's hard to control people these days. I do have a controlling nature about me. I know that, and I have tried to control a lot of people in my life. It's never worked well for me. So I can just express how upset I am if this person chooses to go and hang out with a guy who's interested in them. But at the end of the day, I can't control. So no, I wouldn't be. No.
Okay.
Be cool with it.
I guess we're running out of time, Dr. Monfarid. If you can, you heard what they said as a wrap up at your
Sure.
comment.
I think the main thing to take away is you have to really be honest and open with your partner in these types of situations and really understand the definition that each one of you has and respect the other person. For some, it's not just the sex that is considered cheating. The emotional connection for some is a lot. But I think you also have to be mindful of when does your insecurities, when your issues are playing into it. And are we projecting our insecurities upon the other person? And I think that being able to kind of see where is it my flaws that are contributing to this toxic relationship and back and forth, or was it's a true disrespect factor? But the main thing is just being able to be honest and communicating, but you have to do that from the beginning. So if someone does something that you don't appreciate, you don't respect, or you view it as disrespectful towards you, you have to say it up front to the point where they understand and are able to absorb what you said and change their behavior. If they're not able to respect that decision from the beginning, they're not going to respect it 5, 10, 15 years down the line.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all for your comments. And thank you for being with us. True love isn't found, it's built.